Hello, my friends. So I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. And in today's session, I have channeled the Pleiadians to ask about a very interesting topic, which many of you had emailed me on my email, as well as I had received many comments, to ask about the Guardians of the Looking Glass project. It turns out, this is some kind of some type of a covert group which has come out, who is, trying to warn humanity about, what is about to happen in the coming days. And I was very curious, some of you had sent me videos of them. So I just, wanted to know, if this is real, or if this is, what is going on, right? Who is behind this kind of thing, right? So, I have asked about them, and, the thing is, it goes deeper than you may think, okay? This is really deep stuff, and the session is also wild, it's out of the world. So I listened to the session, and the information is really amazing in a way, and then it opens your eyes in many ways about the possibilities which are happening. And it's all related with extraterrestrials. Okay, all of it is related with extraterrestrials, even though people may not say that. So all the details are revealed in the session. They talk about primarily about the truth of the Guardians of the Looking Glass, about how they were founded, and what is a looking glass. Okay, they also talk about the looking glass technology, about its origins, how it was found and how it was used, and what it does. And also they talk about is the event that is going to happen on the Earth planet, which is the first event as per the looking glass information. Now, as always, I would recommend all of you to use your discernment, because I'm just a messenger. I am giving you my message that I received. And the other thing they talk about towards the end of the video is about how we can allow the creator to express through us, okay? And just allow the creator to express through us with a beautiful method which has been explained in the session. I hope you'll find the session interesting. And with that being said, I want to say big thank you to all of you for liking the video. It helps to reach out to people who need it at this time. And with that being said, here is the session, my friends. Enjoy it.
We are the Pleiadians now, communicating through this instrument's vibration for the purpose of sharing our thoughts and insights using the vibration patterns of your planetary sphere in order to guide the human collective consciousness towards a more positive timeline of the fourth density consciousness vibration. As we, the Pleiadians, are now communicating from our location in the Alcyon planetary sphere in the Pleiadian star system, we can sense that the human memory complex is slowly changing and awakening fully to the hidden powers that each entity has. And this has caused a rise in the number of people who are awakening to the truth within their own self. However, prior to addressing the queries which are in the mind space of this instrument, we would like to warn each one of you to remember to use extreme caution, because our thought forms are intended only as a means of inspiration and guidance, not as a means of infringement, which is the primary distortion of the law of free will which we have to maintain as per the instructions received from the Council. Furthermore, we as the Pleiadians residing in the sixth density consciousness have knowledge of a limited number of aspects similar to your kind. Above our densities, there are many other beings whose knowledge is far more superior, and the depth of explanations will be of a greater degree. However, this does not mean that your mind is capable of understanding these higher information which cannot be expressed in the form of words and sounds. However, there is a knowingness that these abilities and insights are real, which can be sensed by judging each material with your inner heart. Today, this instrument has placed a query pertaining to the groups known as the Guardians of the Looking Glass, which have come out into the spotlight at the current time of your planetary space-time nexus. Upon scanning the information which is allowed to be shared to your people, we are now going to give you a historical background of how this group was created. Upon scanning the vibrational entities present in this group, there are a member of 145 entities who worked in the so-called United States military prior to the period in question. These entities, most of them were entities from the fourth density consciousness, and some of them had recent soul swaps with fourth density wandering souls, which has caused them to come together as a group of light workers and wanderers in order to warn and to provide awareness to the human collective consciousness with regards to the events that they have noticed upon using a technological device which was created by the Andromedans and had been handed over to the so-called people of Sumer around the period of 1745 BC as known by your people. In that time, in the lands of Sumer, there was an opportunity for many entities to enter into the positive timeline, and many of those were being influenced and guided by the Andromedans' positive counsel. Since the Andromedans did not want the negative entities to completely wipe out the progress of positive teachings that they had transferred to the Sumerians, in the hope of allowing the Sumerians a type of prediction tool, this device was constructed using the transmission of a sixth density consciousness into a glass plate like substance which is crystalline in nature, and each crystal has the ability of showcasing a different timeline. These crystals can be replaced by the substance known as dolomite as the so-called battery for the use of this substance and device. This device then was used by the Sumerian population to prevent themselves from complete annihilation from the so-called influences from negative extraterrestrials as known by your people, such as the Orions and the Reptilians who wanted to destroy the positive work that had been done by the Andromedans. Because of this device, they were able to project outwards into the future timeline and to observe the possibilities of all the events would lead up to. This device was used by the High Priestess of the Sumerian lands. However, because of not being able to disseminate the information, there was many times infringement by the negative sources, leading ultimately to the end of the original Sumerians. This device was then taken to the lands known as Iraq and was hidden inside a so-called monastery as known by your people, and was found by the United States military groups during their infiltration around the period of the time-space nexus of 1981. In that timeline, the so-called device was then secretly transmitted and transferred to a secret society of members of high-level entities upon your planetary sphere, who started to perform magnetic tests upon the device and who started to figure out how the workings of this device was created. There was entities upon the planet who were highly advanced and knowledgeable, and there was an entity known as Peter who was able to use its fourth density vibration to activate the device. This device then was able to use the consciousness being projected from the observer or the entities who would observe into it Based upon the events which were set in motion, it was able to predict a timeline in the future based upon the native vibration of the observer. However, there were many differences available. As the vibrations of the observer changed, the events had a slight change in the occurrence. However, in the timeline of 2030, as per the so-called looking glass created by the Andromedans, the possible future events were projected to be of dual in nature. One event would lead to the culmination of the Earth's planetary vibration completely into the positive timeline, leading to a graduation of souls into the positive space-time and the ending of all negative totalitarian societies and other influences, which is the coming of the new Earth. There is a cosmic event in the year 2030, which leads to a cascading effect of graduation of the Earth planet. If queried in the future about this event, we shall go into more details, as it is a detailed event which needs more explanation than required at this time by this instrument's bodily complex to handle. The other event which this looking glass has predicted and projected outwards, leading to different vibrations being used, is the vibration of the coming of complete negative polarity upon the Earth planets. If the events coming on the days known by your people as April 18th to April 29th, there is a heavy chance of infringement by the negative forces. The looking glass has predicted and has created information that the reptilians, who are currently lodged inside the Mars planet, would try to use the human counterparts or their human allies to directly infringe the quarantine which has been set forth by the Galactic Federation, and the protection shields which have been created by Ashtar Sharan will be dissipated and destroyed, leading to infringement of negative sources directly into the lands known as United States. On the day of April 18th, as per the looking glass information we can access, there will be infringement from negative sources inside the Earth planet in the lands known as United States, and there will be entities who will be merged and changed because the genetic composition of the reptilians allows them to soul swap. These soul swap entities can replace the so-called leaders, and we have sensed that the main leader of the United States will be replaced by one such negative entity, who will then cascade the negative spiraling talking points of attack upon another nation upon your planetary sphere known as China and Russia, which will lead to a cascading of spiraling effects, and the events in the future will be of a negative nature, leading to a so-called detonation of nuclear bombs in the future if this timeline is not prevented. Therefore, we as the Pleiadians, as per the information we have and can provide, each entity upon the planetary sphere must become aware, and once awareness is spread about the events happening between April 18th to April 29th, as the timeline distortion is provided, as there may be time-space occurring before or prior or later in the experiences of a space-time because of the variable nature of reality. Each entity, in order to prevent such things, must remember to just become conscious, and by become aware, there may be entities who are working and who will directly interact unconsciously with these reptilians. Unbeknownst to them, they will be unaware that they are aiding negative entities, and because of this aiding, and because they will be aiding negative entities, they will, if they become aware of this information, try to stop such happenings in the coming days of April 18th to the April 29th timeline. This is the first event as has been projected by the looking glass. There are many other events of which we will, if required, request the Council to provide information with the human collective consciousness. Furthermore, at this time, the one thing that the human collective consciousness must remember is to focus and to allow the Creator within yourself to express. The Creator within yourself can express its qualities by firstly remembering that the Creator is residing within each entity upon the planet. However, many of you are unconscious to this fact, and many of you are awakening to the realization that the Creator is within yourself. Once you become actively aware of the Creator, you can then allow the Creator to express through you. This can be done by aligning with the will of the Creator, which means to, firstly, enter into the state of detachment and enter into the state of complete silence of the mind. And once you are able to access the entry into the complete silence of the mind as an entity, you will then have the opportunity and the capability of realizing that the Creator who lies within yourself will have other abilities as well. These other abilities will be expressed through you, and not because you want to express it, but the Creator's will be the greatest possible service to the one infinite Creator. The best way to accomplish this would be to access the silence of the mind and allow the silence to permeate to such an extent that your egoic self will be disabled, and the Creator will then be able to use your creative faculty of imagination and the other creative abilities of energy creation to create what it desires through you. This is the greatest service to the one infinite Creator at this time, to align with silence. Therefore, we as the Pleiadians will request each one of you to use your free will. We'll leave you now in love light of the one Creator. Bye.
So my friends, after watching the session, and I hope many of your eyes have opened wide, like my eyes were open wide because of the information, and it's amazing information. Okay, I never thought that this was actually possible in this lifetime to hear such things. But what they have said about the guardians of the looking glass is the looking glass is a technology. Okay, it's an Andromedan technology. That's what they have said in the session, and it was handed over to the Sumerians, to the people of Sumer, I believe, known as the Sumerians, long time back. And this technology was used for the purpose of looking at future timelines, of probable future timelines. And what they have discovered, okay, as per the information that they said, is there is all the future timelines. When looking at this information and looking at the looking glass information, and this glass was obtained by the United States military as per the information received in the session. And what they did was they did some experiments, and turns out there were people involved in that, who were potentially high level beings, like wanderers. I hope this is what they said, okay, wanderers of fourth density nature were involved in that kind of covert research thing, and then they were able to find out what will happen in the future timeline. And what they have said is there are two possibilities in the future. Two events will happen in the future. All the timelines, right? All the timelines, they led to the same two events. So the one event was a big cosmic event in 2030, wherein there will be some event of which I need to ask in the next session. And they said that this will lead to the graduation of the planet instantly towards the fourth density positive. Okay, so leading to the new Earth being completely coming on our planet. And then the second one they said was the negative forces will win, and then the positive ones will be forced to leave the planet. So I think there will be destruction in the second timeline. Okay, so this is what they have said. And what they have said is we have been given this information. Okay, they said that between the time of April 18 to April 29th, right? There is a chance that the first event will occur between that period, wherein the first event they said is that the reptilians, they are trying to come from Mars. They will try to infringe the quarantine directly with the help of some human beings or some allies they have over here on Earth, and then they will try to replace the soul of high level beings who are leaders of the United States, a nation or stuff like that. And this is what they said. Now it's up to you to accept or reject it. And then what they said is there is going to be huge types of blaming going on between Russia, China, and then what that is was Russia, China, and the United States, right? And this will lead to the creation of the nuclear war if this event is not stopped. And the only way to stop the event is by spreading the message. So this is what I'm doing. You know, I'm trying to spread the message immediately to people so that people become conscious. And I hope, you know, like this message will reach out at the right time so that we can stop the event, and many people will awaken. You know, like some people, if they awaken, they may become conscious of what they're doing, and then this event may be stopped. So this is what they have said in the session. The other thing that I found really fascinating about this technology was that they said, you know, it depends on the types of vibration of the person watching through the glass. So I think, you know, like in the future session, and I'm thinking of like if it is possible to look through the glass in the session, my own self, to find out, you know, what I see, because I wanted to know. It's very interesting, right? And the other thing is, they said the best way to express the will of the creator is by entering into silence. Now from this, what I know is that, you know, if you are like through your daily activities, if you are trying to maintain silence of your mind, or, you know, trying to maintain the silence in your inner self, and then what happens is that your inner creator, you know, it takes on this ability of expressing through you without even you have to, like, you know, forcing to get something or do something. The creator is expressing through you, right? And this is, I think, the greatest service, this is what they said, is to allow the creator's will to express through you and not to force it, okay? And the best way is via silence of the mind, which can be achieved via meditation and other practices. You can also try active meditation of, you know, like focusing on one point, focusing on your breath, or just, you know, keeping your mind focused only on your feelings and not focusing on your thoughts and words and, you know, inner imagination. That way, you know, you'll allow the creator to have the silence and the space to express through you. And this is what I learned in the session, and I thank all of you for joining me in this video. And I want to say a big thank you for liking the video and sharing the video as well. And also, I want to thank you, all of you, for joining me on Patreon, where I'm sharing sessions almost on a daily basis, you know, regarding certain interesting topics. And also about this looking glass thing, I think, you know, there are certain topics which I will have to channel in the future, which may not be allowed to be shared on YouTube. So I'll share it on Patreon. And the other thing is, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for sending me requests for past life sessions. I will help you out whenever I get free time on this email address over here. And thank you so much. So you can enjoy the next session over here. Bye.